Marianne, I'm so glad you could be here, and I'm very sorry that it's under the circumstances of having to be an angel mom.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about what happened.
On May 12, 2014, my son, who was a Mesa, Arizona police officer, was on his way home from work. And repeat illegal alien criminal who'd been drinking all day, was 3 times the legal limit drunk, high on meth, had driven over 35 miles the wrong way on the freeways, and slammed head-on into my son on his way home from work. And my son ultimately died a couple hours later in surgery. The illegal alien died also in the accident, so I was spared, having to deal with the trial, or that the illegal was released, to show up for court and not ever show up and not ever have justice. So I feel like, my son was served his justice.
So I take it you're one of the folks who believes there is some kind of border crisis.
Absolutely. I've spent a lot of time it's been almost 5 years. I've spent a lot of time going down to the border and in Texas and New Mexico and Arizona, talking with sheriffs, talking with lawmakers, talking with other families who've been affected by illegal alien crime, and just doing independent research, and of course, reading up on a lot of things. So in Arizona, a lot of times the mainstream media shows the southern border and has a solid red line and says these are all the areas with border security, and it's a solid line across southern Arizona, but actually 330 miles of Arizona border is barbed wire fence. That's all that exists for a border fence.
What's the total length of the border, out of curiosity?
It's a little over 400 miles, so 330 miles.
So most of it?
Yes, is barbed wire fencing or Normandy fencing.
Right.
And I was able to go down there and just climb through the barbed wire fence and be in Mexico and back into America, in 2 minutes. So it's that easy for these people to come across our border. Also, being down in Texas, I witnessed, groups of 30 and 40 Hondurans who had just crossed the Rio Grande, mainly men holding little girls' hands, a few women in the group. And you have to wonder, are these the children that some of them that are missing in Mexico? There's 15,000 kidnapped children who are missing in Mexico. Are these the children that they've used as their pawns to get asylum in our country?
Right.
The drugs that flow over our border, the drug overdoses that are happening. Over 4,000 Americans are killed every year by illegal aliens. Hundreds of thousands of Americans are affected by illegal alien crime, and the deaths of 4,000 a year doesn't even include the drug overdoses and the people who are dying from that crisis in itself.
So this has clearly become a mission for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't want to see another family have their lives just ripped out from underneath them. Brandon was a very important part of my family. I had 4 children, and he was my third. And, it's like a spoke of our will is gone. Our family just doesn't run as smoothly anymore. And he was a very integral part of our community, worked with children and told them about the importance of staying out of gangs and staying in school and getting an education, worked at the Boys and Girls Club, had an annual Thanksgiving dinner for less fortunate people, which I've carried on those traditions since his death, just to keep his memory alive.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, the difficult story, but also for the important work that you're doing.
Yes, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Steve, it's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
And also, of course, under the difficult circumstances of you having to be an angel father. Can you tell me a little bit about your story so our audience can understand?
My son Grant, he was 21 years old. January 22nd, 2015, he was working the overnight shift at QT, which is a convenience store in Mesa. Man came in and wanted to buy cigarettes, so he dumped a jar of change out on the counter. Grant went to start counting the change, and this man said, "What, you're not going to give me my cigarettes?" Grant tried to explain to him, I have to count your change. This man pulled a gun. Grant immediately offered up the cigarettes, and this man shot him point blank in the face. He then came around the counter and grabbed a couple more packs of cigarettes, stepped back over Grant's body, and just walked out of the store.
This is obviously on some footage that you had, you had to see.
It's on video. They had video surveillance in the store.
I'm so sorry.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And it's been, little over 4 years, and we're still waiting for a trial.
So was the person that did this apprehended? Is there?
He was. He there was a customer, another customer in the store that he didn't know about. As soon as he exited the store, the witness went to exit the store, and luckily there was a Mesa police officer that was pulling into the parking lot, and he flagged him down and said, told him what happened, gave him a description of the car. Within 5 minutes of him leaving, another Mesa police officer had him stopped on the freeway. And
incredible police work, I guess you'd say.
Very incredible police work. And the man decided to flee and led a 26-mile high-speed chase through Mesa, Tempe, Phoenix. They were finally able to do a pit maneuver and get him, ironically, right by the Durango jail. And,
wow.
Yeah. And the police frequent Quick Trips. We have really nice people. We cater to the police because we like having them there. And the police, a lot of them knew Grant. And, they even used his name on the air. Hey, we caught the guy that killed Grant. We caught the guy that shot Grant. It was on the airwaves. I actually heard some of the tapes that we need to get this guy. We need to get this guy. He shot Grant. So it was pretty amazing.
So how is it that after 4 years there's no trial in this situation, which doesn't exactly seem to be like a difficult case to try, maybe? Is that accurate?
It is accurate. First we started out with...
like you can see the face of the person on the video. It's...
Yeah, you can see exactly what happened. And it started out that Mexico got involved and said, hey, we don't have the death penalty, so we don't want you to charge him with the death penalty. Mm-hmm. The past year and a half has been, they're trying to claim he's intellectually disabled because he only had a 5th grade education. So we've been going through about a year and a half, as I said, of this back and forth, trying to prove that he wasn't, because he only had a 5th grade education, he wasn't smart enough to understand the repercussions of his actions. And as of late, it's become an excuse for several cases involving illegal immigrants. The one that I could tell you about is Molly Tibbetts in Iowa that was,
of course,
raped and murdered last year. The man who killed her, his attorneys are already setting the stage for the intellectual disability. You can watch the opening remarks of the initial appearance where the lawyer is stated, this man only had a 4th grade education, he's here under certain circumstances, he's provisional as far as his intelligence. So it's something that they're trying to set a precedence, and it's got to stop. It's got to stop before it gets started.
Tell me a little bit about your motivation to working with We Build the Wall, which is the organization that you represent.
Because the man that killed Grant was an illegal alien, I jumped into the fight against illegal immigration. I got to be somewhat well known because I did become very active. And when Brian Colfage started the GoFundMe for We Build the Wall, he actually took on a couple people that were friends of mine that I had met through my activism. They called me one day and they said, so how would you like to be on the advisory board for We Build the Wall? And I was like, oh yeah, I'd really like to do that. And the biggest thing is because for decades, they've been saying we need to build this wall, we need to build a fence, we need to protect the southern border.
Right.
But for decades, nobody's done anything about it.
Right.
Well, we finally have a president that's trying to do something about it, but the left side of our government is stonewalling him at every turn.
Right.
At every turn. So...
Entrepreneurship,
and Brian doesn't make a dime off of it. He literally he's literally a war hero. I mean, the man literally got blown up for his country, but he still wants to serve his country. And Brian, I guess, was sitting at home one night saying, hey, I'm sick of this. This needs to stop. And that's where the GoFundMe came from. He's an amazing man, and he really is trying to serve his country. And the motivation was there because obviously I want the wall built too. These criminals are able to just cross our border. In Arizona, there's 348 miles of just barbed wire. You can get through it in a matter of seconds. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing criminals. They're bringing illegal aliens. They're bringing children for sex trafficking. They're bringing diseases that we've eradicated back in the 20s and 30s. They're bringing all of this back across our border, and it's putting our American citizens at risk.
Obviously, you're a big supporter of the president's initiative to fulfill the barrier, fulfill the wall
Yes.
promise. And how far are you guys along in achieving your goal?
We are within months of breaking ground. We have 7 different sites.
And you're building this on private land, is that right?
We are building this on private land.
Okay.
So we are within months. We are hoping to break ground in either April or May. We have 7 different sites that we've chosen. It's in contractual negotiations. Obviously, I can't tell you where it is, because if I tell you where it is, then the left is going to sue and they're going to hold us up. So I'm not going to tell you. But we do have sites picked out. We do have negotiations going on with landowners. And obviously, President Trump has got his national emergency he declared, so he's getting some money for the wall. Mm-hmm. We're going to supplement what he builds.
And so are you expecting that whatever barriers are created, they'll be able to kind of connect in these areas?
Absolutely.
Okay. Any final words you'd like to share with our audience?
Just if they want to help and they want to get involved, go to webuildthewall.us, and that's the biggest way that they can help. They can get updates on what we're doing and how we're doing, and it's pretty amazing.
Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.